I mean, there's these Christian wackos out there right now who have stuff, I think it's in Tennessee. It's like an amusement park kind of attitude. But it's supposed to be like this visualization of all those Christian wacko myths. Noah's Ark. And in their dioramas, they got that dinosaurs and humans, just as you are today, human, were living at the same time. These are probably the same nutcates who tell you that the earth is only 6,000 years old because this guy Bishop Ussher in the 1600s wanted to figure out what the age of the earth was, so he just went through the book of myths. Didn't look at the earth, didn't analyze the earth, didn't study the earth or anything. I mean, it's wacky stuff. It's not religion, it's ignorance. We can't afford to have our kids being brought up in such ignorance. That's not really that good. Have these people out there who say, oh, the earth is only 6,000 years old. Oh, humans and dinosaurs lived together at the same time. Because it spins around to the other stuff that they are also using. That's like the blustery wind that you hear in the background. And it says, homosexuals can't have equal rights. Boom, it's about repression. And then it goes on and it says, women, they can't have open access to birth control. Boom, repression of women. It isn't just about the ignorance of, the earth is only 6,000 years old. It's also trying to establish all this other lunacy that is used to justify repression, segregation, deny access to services. And in our democracy, that can't happen. That can't work. That doesn't work. Your religion is not legislation. Your religion is secondary to we the people. All of us. All different religions, races, ethnics, all that stuff. So what? It's a great equanimity of equal access and equal protection under the law. And so if your religion is hanging around, trying to say, there was Noah, see, and he built this ark because they didn't know anything about floods. And, he built this thing because of flood, Lunacy. Myth. Look what we know about floods nowadays. From science. From investigation of the actual events, the specifics of flooding versus a myth. Quite different. The wind agrees with me there. Reality versus mythic ignorance. So it's one thing to just let their myths bubble along and make, funny little children's stories. It's another thing to try and say, it's fact. Oh, it's true. And because it's true, homosexuals can't have equal rights. In fact, we should kill them. And, women, they can't have equal rights. They have to be repressed in the kitchen. That's it. No access to birth control. Repression. Because it all fits together. Those myths aren't just some kind of, that's the funny thing. The earth was made in 6 days. Myth. Just like same type of myth of creation myth as the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Malaysians, the ancient Chinese, the ancient Aztecs and Incas, and the various tribes and whatnot in Africa. It doesn't matter. It's all mythic. And what it means is ignorance. They didn't know. Well, there was this perfect time of a Garden of Eden. Folks, that's not fact. It's not anything but a myth. A fanciful myth. And upon which they drew that women can be repressed because they ate the apple, that apple, and that women did that. Oh yeah, women are at fault, so women are secondary. So they can't, you can't rely on them. You can't use them in the 21st century. They're holding you back from 21st century reality, understanding, science, intelligence, historical wisdom. You gotta let them go. Let all that crap go. And keep it as, well, it's a myth. That's just a myth. There's no validity there. It's just a funny little children's story of a myth. Don't believe anything about it. It's just a funny story before you go to bed. Tell your kids a funny little story and go to bed. Bing. That's it. Weren't those people kind of stupid and ignorant, but they made a funny little story? Okay, then there you go. Because we can't be bringing our kids up in an internet age with virtual reality coming in to play. Computers, robots coming into play. And we can't be dragging along these dark age myths anymore. Absolutely have to cut them loose. Really put the foot down and say, that's just myth. There's nothing historical about it of any validity. Those are ignorant people. Didn't know anything. Everything was hysterical. Everything was a judgment. Oh, why did we have an earthquake? It must have been a judgment against us. That type of stuff. Well, they didn't know anything. See, the wind agrees with me again. So that's what we have to realize and remember and state publicly. That's a myth. Your religion is not legislation, ever. Thank the gods of our forefathers that they saw the horrific fallacy and repression and violence that a religion-based government implemented over and over again. And all of it was on ignorance. Myths. So let's come into the light of the 21st century, drop all that stuff, let it go, start fresh with just no creation myth. We don't need it. The earth is 3 billion years old, says science. Great, so what? Fine. No problem. Enjoy life. Live with what we have, and our science has, and our knowledge has now. And to do that, we got to cut all that dark age stuff out and throw it away. And we'll be a lot better, healthier, happier, and we'll have saner, healthier, equal, you could say, a grand equanimity that is built into our Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence. We the people, regardless of race, creed, sex, color, ethnic, any sexual preference, any old thing. Equal access and equal protection under the law. The wind agrees.